I want to make this my life. You know, it's okay if you want to do it as a hobby too. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want people to think that like, you need to do music as a fucking career. People can just do it for themselves and just have it, in their life because they want to do it. But for the people that want to do it as a career, you have to be able to put those hours in. You got to be able to do the work. It sucks, but there's going to be times where you got to go to those late night sessions. Yeah, so the first comings actually of me making rap music was my friends. It was this kid named Marcus Johnson. I grew up with him in high school, and he's still my best friend to this day. Prestige Knows, who's now actually a very famous videographer out of Philadelphia. Y'all should look him up, hit him up for music videos. He's phenomenal. This kid Chase, my friend Chase Wallace, I grew up with him, and I actually taught him how to make beats, which was really sick. I was like the first bull that introduced him to beats in like 2017, 2018. He kind of like saw what I was doing and how I was making beats, and he got intrigued just like I did in the beginning. And I taught him everything about FL. And then I said, all right, go just run away and figure it out just like I did, like self-taught and just touch buttons, So like that was him. He was around doing that with me and making beats with me. Who else was I cooking with? Oh, this kid Justin Leonardo. He lives in Florida now, but he was rapping on my stuff. This kid Josh, I don't speak to him anymore, but this kid Josh was around as well. And then I think the last person out of the group that we had from school was Steve, my friend Steve Palladino, who's actually our graphic designer for Tripod for the band. So yeah, there was like basically my homies from school in all reality were the first ones to start hopping on my beats.
So the fam is still around, man.
So
did you like what you heard, man? Did you like when someone, got on your beat, and did you like the finished product, man? Did you like the way it sounds?
Yeah, majority of the time when we would just cook up down here, like it would be, come after school, let's just order a fucking pizza and get some beers or drinks or whatever. And we're just gonna sit here and just make some shit. Y'all can get fried because my parents are dumb chill. And like y'all can get high. Like
I second that, man.
Fuck yeah. My parents are cool, man. I'm like I said, I'm very blessed to have them. And how chill they are compared to most people. And we would just, we would get high and shit. We couldn't smoke in the house, but they'd have carts. We get fried, and like we just fucking cook up. They would get fried. I'd be a fucking pussy some days, and it would just be great, man. We make songs. There were some days we made shitters though, for sure. Like there were days like they came through and like they just weren't in the vibe. They were tired, maybe from school. And we just made, I don't know, a fucking 4-bar song. And then that's like unfinished shit that's still sitting on my phone from years ago. That's not even finished. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that people, I really hope, understand, that music is all about the vibe, man. Like one day, you know what I'm saying, you don't got the vibe with you, man, or in you, and it's just it's whack. And then the next day you come in and you feel it, and it's dope, right? Like, am I right about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is, if it's like a spiritual thing or if it's a mental thing or what it is, but yeah, some days you just got it and then other days you don't. Same with producers. Like there's been days I just like, I'm telling myself I want to make a beat, but I just don't feel it. Like I don't feel it in me. I don't feel that, like it just doesn't, I don't know. It's different. So yeah, it's a roadblock for sure.
What would be your best advice to someone that's, what I'm saying, let's say they're making a beat or they're making a song and it's not coming, man. Like they're pushing and pushing and pushing and it's not coming, man. What would be your best advice to someone, man, in that situation?
Take a break. I would say definitely like step off the railroad tracks and see if like, you can kind of set yourself back, because every day is different. Every day and every approach to every day is always going to be different. Like, every day is not the same. So like you could wake up and, try to push out a song that, maybe somebody's bitching at you for, or like you just want to make because you haven't made in a while, and you try to push it out and you're just like sitting there not sure, like, this don't feel right. Sometimes it's good to just fall back and kind of look from the outside sometimes and allow yourself to just you know, flow through who you are until it hits, and
Mm.
then that's when you go in and be yourself, you know?
That's a great advice, man.
Yeah.
Um, how long after you started like producing beats and everything like that, you were
Yeah.
15, 16, 17, how long would you say went by until you could say that you found your own sound, man?
Oh god, I would say probably from when I started up until I got you know what? I would probably say up and from the beginning from when I started up until last year.
Mm,
Last year was definitely the turning point where I actually discovered my genuine interest of sound. Like I said, because a lot of those early years when I was doing hip hop, I was like, God, I can't even tell you how many times I meat rided Southside. Like I would just make
mm,
Southside trap beats all day long. I'd make Future trap beats. I'd make Metro Boomin trap beats. Like I would just like my whole life would be a fucking tight beat at this point. When I started, and it's funny because I realized a lot of the beats that I got placed for bigger artists were beats that never were that
mm.
were what the fuck I was making on the side and trying to like it's mainly about it's quantity or excuse me, it's quality over
Oh,
quantity.
quality.
I
Mm,
swear to God, that is what beats are about, bro. Like I would rather sit there now and waste a couple of fucking good hours on a really damn good beat than fucking sit there and just bust out 12 goddamn little machine gun beats worth of stuff that I don't know makes sense. The only times that you can really run through beats like that is if you feel it. If you really feel like you can bust out 12, maybe you can. For me, I work different. It's like if like I've done speed, I call it speed beating, where you're
mm,
in the middle of a session, you got an artist and they're like, cook up some shit. And I'm like, all right. And then I try to get to the ideas as fast as I can, as fucking, as natural as I can. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I really think like if you take your time, and you don't let other people get in your ear about shit on the time frame, that's when the music's going to be the best, especially coming for you for them. And I realized a lot of the beats that I made growing up, like from getting so much inspiration and trying to replicate other people, like that's what really became the majority of my catalog. And I just kind of went back and said, nah, fuck this. I need to start being myself. I got to start utilizing who I am and being honest with myself and, doing that. And then that's when the music got good and I discovered my sound for sure.
wow. At those initial years, what were some other producers that you had respect for, let's say?
God, I mean, that was first inspired by.
Yeah, like those first initial years, like someone, I'm talking beyond inspiration, someone that from a professional side you can say, yo, I really respect that producer, man. I respect what they do, man.
See, like, yeah, at the time, like, I would say, like, definitely it was, oh God, yeah. K Swisha. K Swisha was one of my very first introductions to like the mainstream trap sound that was going on, but he did it in his own way, a very analog synthy, kind of ordeals. Because Made in Tokyo, I was obsessed with Made in Tokyo.
Mm,
Like fucking like 24 hours his older brother and shit like that. The whole Private Club clique. I was so obsessed with that aesthetic and sound and idea. Like, God, I can't even tell you how many fucking type beats I made inspired by Swisha, man. So shout
wow.
out Swisha. I would say Swisha was like one I really respected for sure. Um, I would say definitely like I mean just the goats starting off with the people that wanted to get into trap. Like I was very inspired by Southside, in the very beginning. I was inspired by Boomin. I was inspired by Sunny Digital. Um, God, fucking I can't even remember the Lex Luger
Like,
was another huge one for
yeah,
me
it's
because
dope.
he's the fucking G of this shit. Like every young bull that hears trap, it's because of Bull. Like Lex Luger really took what we listen to today and started out as the OG, the fire of that. And people ran with his shit. They took it and jacked it, and now everybody's trap.
Mm.
So people got to respect the OG. So definitely Lex is like probably up there with Swisha for me as far as on an OG standpoint. God, who else, man? There's probably more off the top of my head that I got to try to think more on, but yeah, those are definitely like two that I was really huge on.
Do you remember the very first hip hop trap beat that you made and you were completely satisfied with? Like you were nodding your head like, yeah, this is the shit right here, man. And undeniably, man.
Trap beat. Yeah, yeah. It was probably around like 2018, like the end of 2018. I was probably in that weird swisher lane of just inspiration. I remember like it was so simple. It was probably like, oh my god, there was probably like five instruments, like five like instrument sets of drums, and then maybe like two melodies. And I remember it was I called the beat Wrist. Or no, not Wrist. It was oh my god. Fuck, I can't remember the name of it now. It's not Wrist. Wrist is a separate placement I have. But I remember I made the beat, and at the time I was working with this artist named Jay Prezi, and I sent him the beat, and that was my first like placement, like my first real like introduction to like getting a placement with somebody like that's a little more famous, a little more known. And that was like the first time. Yeah. I would definitely say that. Yeah.
Wow. And what were you satisfied? Were you like, yeah, this is the shit right here?
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, the song was called "Whoa." That's what the fuck it was. I forget what the beat was called, but when I got that placement with Prezi, because that's still my guy. It's always gonna be my guy. When I got that placement with Prezi, like just there was something about that beat and how they came on it, and like he got Harlem Beans, he got this bull Caliente who was from Upper Harlem. Like they just came different on it. Like they made the song what it needed to be. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? They really catered to it, and that beat fit perfectly with them. And when I heard that back for the first time as a demo, I was like, this is sick. Like,
Wow.
I really wanted, like, I want to do this. This is the coolest shit ever. And then
So
we made a ton of other demos on the side for sure.
so would you say that that was the moment when you realized like, yo, I'm on the right track? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like like you just said, this is what I want to do, man.
That was the first moment I had where, like, because all leading up to that, I knew I was on the right track, but I hadn't seen any form of like miniature success on a corporate standpoint or label standpoint. And once that hit, I was like, okay, I can do some shit. Like I can produce, I can get in rooms with artists, and
I'm
be
nice.
confident.
I'm
I'm
nice.
nice, right? I'm nice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's possible, So yeah, that was definitely the first moment for that. Shout out Asylum too. Asylum Records. I believe they signed that song. We got a single deal for that. That was fucking sick. And Hitmaker as well, Hitmaker Group.
So what was your like I'm trying to word this the right way.
You're good.
What was your path to follow? Like what were you as soon as you realized that, yo, like my shit is really knocking, my shit is good.
Mhm.
What was your thought process? Like, were you thinking about I have to open up a studio or I have to get a record deal, or like what was your thought process, man?
Ooh, if I could recall it, I just got obsessed with the idea of just making more. It wasn't really so much like, I got my first beat as a placement. I'm so happy about the label and like the money and like because I didn't really get paid much from that shit. I didn't even care. But it was
I
more
want
of
to, I
like,
want, I want, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I want to
"Are you
get to the whole I want to get to the whole label thing, man. But I'm just trying to figure out like your thought process, like for a young producer, like what is your future plans once you realize like this is what I want to do.
yeah,
I'm actually nice. What are the next steps, man?
just staying on top of yourself and just working, just grinding and seeing what hits." It's like, again, this, I feel like music itself is like throwing darts at a dartboard. Like, you could make 1,000 songs and nothing happens, but it only takes one song to change your life.
Mm,
No matter any fucking genre.
yeah.
You only need one song to change your life. So that's what I strive for. It's like I'm gonna keep striving for that feeling that I got when I got that placement, and when we made it, how we made it, the feeling, the energy, that's what we strive for. It's just the connection that we have through what we make.
Mm.
So I want to keep striving for that and just keep making music and working with underrated artists, big artists, everybody, man, no matter the genre.
So what would be your advice? What would your advice be? Like, would you say focus on the art itself, like as opposed to ooh, I just made some fly beat, man. I can make mad money, man. And going back to the studio and
Mhm.
thinking about the money rather than the love for it, man.
The money is gonna taint you. The money will come as long as you stay focused and you know what you're doing fulfills you and it's right. The money will just, I swear to God, God will just drop that shit in your hands, bro. Be like, all right, here you go. That's it. There's your surprise. There's your blessing. Like, as long as you are down for what you do and you stay on it and you work hard, you talk to people and you make connections. You know what I'm saying? You don't stay in the house all day and you get out there, you branch yourself out. Success will hit, I promise. At some point, it's gonna hit for sure.
What would you say is one of the most important qualities for a good musician slash producer, man? Like, what wins at the end of the day? Is it the talent? Is it the grind? Is it the talent and the grind? Like, is it the discipline? Like, what is it, man?
For me, it's always been who I am that's won me over with people. Because I could be anybody could be the hottest producer and be a fucking dick to people in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Or be, self-centered or egotistical or like, art bargain to the self, like to themselves where they need to be in control. Me, I've just been a very goofball type of guy. I'm just a laid back dude. I'm fun. I'm bald. You can roast me for that all day long. And I know how to keep my handshakes and respect people and make friends, man. Like it's really like who I am that draws people back to me. And I look for that in them too. Like, I've been in sessions with people where I've just sat there and I'm just been like, dude, you're the most boring motherfucker ever. Like, damn, you drier than a fucking bad piece of pizza. Like, that's just nah, man. And then there's other times I've had sessions and it's been the most electric feeling little session I've had with somebody that's just so much fun and positive. I just search for that in people. I search for the good.
Would you say that the work ethic is really important, man? Like
Yes.
actually putting in those hours, man?
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is a great thing I actually wanted to talk about too. Yeah, so you definitely have to be dedicated and put yourself in those work shoes to say like, I want this bad enough. I want to make this my life. You know, it's okay if you want to do it as a hobby too. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want people to think that like, you need to do music as a fucking career. People can just do it for themselves and just have it, in their life because they want to do it. But for the people that want to do it as a career, you have to be able to put those hours in. You got to be able to do the work. It sucks, but there's going to be times where you got to go to those late night sessions. You got to go at 2 in the fucking morning for all these weirdos that do shit that late. Like, you got to kill the studio a little bit, like on a time frame. Like, you might have to kill off some sleep. That's the thing. Like, music is one of those careers and lifestyles that you have to sacrifice shit for, you know? And same goes for painting, any type of creative space. I feel like you got to make sacrifices for. But if your grind's strong and you manage to balance yourself out, that's the tricky part. You
Mm.
find your balance in between all of the fucking wild shit that comes with the career, then you'll be able to succeed and surpass everybody else.
What were some of the biggest things you had to sacrifice, man? Speaking of sacrifice.
Sleep. Fucking sleep. It sucks. Like, sleep was one of the bigger things that I had to sacrifice a lot, growing up. Like, when I started going out to the city, I would get texts one times, yo, come to the fucking studio in Philly, like yada yada's here. It's 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the, I'm like, ah, fuck, are you kidding me? Like, why are they there at this hour time frame? That's crazy. And then I would go there and then I cook up and then I'd get a fucking beat in and a placement. And now it's like, damn, okay, that's a little
Makes
bit on the
sense.
progress meter. Right, right.
Makes sense.
And then there was other times that I had studio sessions that, people hit me up for that was midday. And I was like, yes. I hated going to late night shit because I just don't operate well, especially late night. Like, I like to relax and just go to sleep. Like, you know, if you can overdrive your mind a little bit, because that's the thing. Most people don't need a shit ton of sleep to function. Like, you can function off of 5-6 hours of sleep and you'll be all right, but to some people like me, like when you do that a lot, it can really get to your brain and fuck up the
Catches up,
process.
man.
It,
Catches up, man.
Rick Ross said it best. I forget. He had an interview with somebody on YouTube, and he said like, You know, if you don't take care of your sleep and your health as much as you want to grind, like, you know, dig yourself up now because it's going to
Yeah,
catch up to you. You're going to die. Like
yeah.
you, if you don't fucking keep yourself in check, sleep, health, fucking anything else, it's going to catch up to you. You know,
It's
musically
about that
too.
balance, man. It's about that balance. That's so weird though, man. That's one thing like that I've learned about you initially, man. I've used this word a lot today, initially, man. I don't know why. I'm like a
It's a
little
good word.
kid.
It's a good word.
That is so weird that you were one of the first like musicians I met that was not like cool with working too late in the like in the late hours, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my question is it important to find your hours, man? Like when you're best feel like yourself and you're more like you're energized enough to do what you got to do, man.
Yes, I think it's really important that you find what hours fits you. I mean, shit can always change, especially if you work a job or if like, you know, you're just busy with life and other things that you got to do. But I definitely think finding your time frames to be creative and finding your workflow is all going to correlate together. You know, if working at 2 in the morning works for you, fuck it, go ahead. If working 6 in the morning goes, you know, well for you, starting your day up early, go ahead. You know, for me, like I've always like enjoyed like a mid-afternoon, you know, to late afternoon because that's actually what I came from school.
Mm.
You know, I came home from school at like 2:15 and then I would make beats. So mid-afternoon's always been like my prime time for making dope shit. And then sometimes if I'm just energized enough and I'm awake and maybe I ate a fucking honey bun or something, then next thing you know, I'm up at like, you know, 1, 2 in the morning just bugging out and I'm just getting creative, you know? But some days I really have late night sessions and I'm just dragging, man. I'm like, fuck this shit. I can't do it. Turn the laptop off. I'm gonna go watch fucking Riverdale. Like,
Those first few years, let's say like first 3, 4, maybe 5 years, are you 100% into your craft or are you also working a 9 to 5? Like, how was that, man?
it was more of the 9 to 5. It was like kind of like I have to fund myself because nobody's gonna fund myself. I have to
Wait,
do it
I'm,
myself.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. My
There you go.
question is, did you have a job and you did what you did like those
Yes.
first
Yeah.
initial years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was working at Giant and I was still making beats. Like I went from ShopRite, I quit ShopRite because I just didn't like the people there. I jumped over to Giant from like 2017 to 2019. I was still making beats from 2015 to 2019, that whole period. And then once I graduated, it was crazy. Like straight out the gate, the following years when I got my first pub deal. And that's when I did music like professionally. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to get into that. But those first few years, what was the hustle like, man? You're going to work, and then how much time do you actually have to put into the music, man?
I was basically coming home. I would bust out my homework from school. I get deep into it, obviously, and just try to knock it out. And then I would probably have like work late mid afternoon shifts all the way until close. So like 5 to 10 or like 5 to 9, you know, just like kind of small shifts for the most part. And then typically once I came back home, I just like, you know, eat dinner or whatever. And then I would end up just cooking beats until midnight. So
Wow.
I'd find like a little 2 to 3 hour gap at the end of my nights to be able to do that. And then I go to sleep at midnight, wake up for school at 6, and then I just repeat.
If
Tough
someone
me.
if someone is serious about their craft and they want to make this their life path, how much time do you think realistically does someone have to put in order to, get better and keep going, man?
See, this is so controversial because it's different for everybody. It's all about you. Like, I can't specifically say because, like, I don't know. Like, I actually don't know how many hours you really got to put in. You just kind of have to put it in, you know, and just do as much as you possibly can or how much you're catered to wanting to put out into it, you know? Um, for me, I was always a fucking fiend for making music since day one. So, like, I would always just work a shit ton just to do it. There was times I would spend extra hours on mixes when people leave. I'd spend extra time on beats that I made for a client or maybe a piece of work I've been working on that week I want to try to work on. So like it all depends on you. It's really just it's all catered to you. So there's no really set amount of hours, but I feel like as long as you just put it in, you'll get somewhere. So,
Yeah, that was my question. My question is basically, if someone is thinking that they could come in once a week and do a little something and then come back another week later, man,
yeah.
like, you're not gonna get nice like that, basically.